Oh yeah, alien abductions, generational intervention, entities from underground and underwater, the younger Dryads. Dude, make sure you check them out. Leslie and Stephen, let them know where they can find you one more time.
They can find us on Instagram at leslie.shaw.author and Facebook as well. And we have a website, whotheyarebook.com. And our documentary is Who They Are.
And also our show, Abductions 101, UFOs and the
The
Paranormal Connection. Yeah.
That's on the
I love
Gnostic
it.
TV network at gnostictv.com.
That's right.
Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
I promise you, this is not a political podcast.
Jump from the deep into the pool, set up the mood. Paranoi radio, set up the mood. Paranoi radio, set up the mood. Paranoi radio, set up the mood. 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 Set up the mood.
TEPHEN, by the way.
No problem. All right, let's make deposits into the bank of knowledge. Welcome back to Paranoi Radio Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Trebles Garcia, your humble host, and I want to thank the Lord for allowing me to be here today. And I want to thank every single one of you for allowing me to enter your space. Ladies and gentlemen, we're on YouTube. Do not forget to check us out on YouTube. Like, subscribe. The button's over here or over here. I don't freaking know where it's at. Look for it. Like, share, and subscribe. Check us out on paranoidradio.com. And now that you're here, that I have your attention, I want to tell you guys that I have an amazing episode lined up with two amazing special guests that have never been here before. But right before we jump into that, also check us out on paranoidradio.com. And like I said, go to YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. Guys, mad shout outs to Flavors of the Forest. Dude, I put that garlic dust on everything. Hot Cheetos, tamales, pupusas, steak, sirloin steak, all the good stuff. You could put it on while you're cooking, but especially it's made to be used after you cook. It gives the tangent flavor. It's spicy, it's good, it's strong, it keeps you healthy, and it grounds you. Mad shout outs to Matt and Nelson from Flavors of the Forest. Check us out. Check them out at the link and also at paranoidradio.com. Guys, it is my absolute pleasure to be recording another amazing episode behind the mic on a Sunday morning. It's refreshing. I haven't done one of these in a very, very long time, specifically with brand new people on the show. Match shout outs to every single one of you. And before we jump into that, I'm also going to give you the listener of the week. Oh yeah, today we have Leslie.shaw.author. They are an amazing Instagram page that has been engaging with us and now have their own book. Guys, let's jump in from the deep end of the pool and set their freaking mood. This episode goes out to you. Please give a warm welcome to Stephen and Leslie Shaw. What's up, guys?
Hi.
Good morning.
Thanks, Angel, for having us.
Top of the morning. I am excited about having you guys on. You know why I get excited about having new people on? Because a lot of us recycle the special guests and it tends to get a little boring. I'm not going to lie. But you guys are making waves. You guys have amazing content and you guys have a book out. Please give us more details about your book.
Well, it's called Who They Are and What They're Up To. Specifically, we're talking about the UFOs and the aliens. It's about our Stephen's experiences, his family. Tell them about your family, dear.
Yes, it was inspired by myself, my 30 years of research. I was a state licensed acupuncturist for 20 years. And I started getting interested in what was happening in my family bloodline since I was the age of 3. I've seen things that I could not explain. And yeah, we'll get into like the coins were magnetized in my pocket when I was 18, when I was a cabinet maker. I was approached by a tall blue-white being about 6.5 feet tall that paralyzed me right side of my body and said, "Hi, Steve," into my ear.
The whole family, we think, were abducted.
So yeah,
back generations.
So I started tracing things going back, and I found that at least 4 generations of our family bloodline, including the Shaws, the Newmans, the Griffiths, and also the Rose, from England and from Eastern Europe, have all had interactions with this same entity. You know, it doesn't matter what part of the world, this same entity, whose name is Oglegli, by the way, for your audience, always appears the same way. To me, it was blue-white. To my uncle, whose life was saved in Ceylon post-World War II, it was a tall black entity.
Well,
And-
it was a shadowy figure in a dark tent.
Yeah,
so
to my
speak.
brother, in 1982, it appeared to him in his bedroom in the house that we were building in Sonora, California, as a tall gray, about 6.5 feet tall.
The typical skinny with the big black eyes.
Yeah, that's
I
why.
wasn't
Sorry.
I wasn't kidding when I said we're gonna jump in from the deep end of the pool on this one. Right
Yeah.
off the bat, whiplashing from all the crazy stories. First of all, thank you. We're gonna jump into that portion of the conversation very, very soon. Before we get into deeper depths, let them know where they can find you. Instagram account, Twitter, all the stuff.
Leslie.shaw.author is the handle for both our Instagram and Facebook page. And we have a documentary on Roku and Plex and YouTube too, called Who They Are. And our show on the Gnostic TV network is called Abductions 101, UFOs and the Paranormal Connection. Feel free out there in audience land to message us at Instagram. We'd love to hear from
And
you.
we're soon to have releasing our second edition of our first book, and it will be available in, of all things, the Czech language and in Spanish and English, and it's going to be an audiobook form too.
Yeah, that we were contacted by a Czech Republic publisher who wanted to translate it. We said, sure.
Game. That's beautiful. Hell yeah. The more people you guys get to spread that message. And at the same time, hey, let's admit it. We're all gotta eat. You know,
Right.
if you guys find interesting in the conversation, interesting towards the end of the show, make sure you check them out, ladies and gentlemen. Do not skip on this. Do not sleep on them. Check out their book and check out the Roku channels and everything else. The description is gonna hold all the links to where you can find them. Now, let's get back to this freaking tall gray, blue, white dude. What's going on? Please proceed.
Well, the book is, it starts, chapter 1 is Stephen's experiences and the family's experiences. And then chapter 2 and 3, we sort of have to bring the public, whoever's picking up the book, we have to assume that they don't know anything about the UFO phenomenon. So we just give them a quick UFO course, like a UFO 101 course through the first 3 chapters. And then we start getting into the meat of our theories.
So the thing is, you're asking this specifically, what's the deal with the tall gray alien, right? That's been with the family for at least 120, maybe 140 years. We're not really sure about as far as that goes, but it appears that we have a handler. Our bloodline seems to have a handler, and they seem to like something about our bloodline. It's something in the DNA, in the eggs, and in the sperm. I've definitely had, a number of missing time experiences. So it was pretty much everyone in my family, except for my sister. All the women on my mom's side of the family have all been automatic writers. Okay,
Very psychic family.
all throughout the ages, apart from just one of them. And so they contacted this entity, I believe, probably through automatic writing. And automatic writing, my mom had proved that to me on many occasions. I mean, she knew when her parents died and when her Uncle Clifford died before we ever got notified from England back in the 1960s, when people just had telephones, right? No cell phones. But she would get this feeling. She'd have to go into a trance, and she would just write down in different handwriting than her own, and she would tell us stuff. She picked me up from school that day, and she was crying. I said, "Mom, why are you crying?" "Well, my mom just died. She fell down some stairs, the cobblestone stairs in England, and sure enough, when we got called the next day, she had died from a hip fracture from falling down cobblestone steps."
Wow.
We determined with our research pretty early on that the abduction phenomenon tends to follow families. They find an individual that has their criteria they're looking for, and then they'll take them again and again and again through their lives, and then they'll start taking their children and grandchildren and so on.
And also Luis Elizondo's book, Imminent, the government has put quite a bit of money into figuring out why remote viewers can remote view. And and the reason is there's 2 areas of the brain that are hyper developed in people that have ESP, legitimate ESP, and that can remote view and astral project. It's called the caudate putamen, which is just above the basal ganglia in the back of the brain, and there's what's called the parahippocampal gyrus. Both these areas are hyper developed and they're hyperactive in people that have these abilities
And also abductees. We
and abductees
Yeah.
too.
Try saying that word 3 times fast.
Parahippocampal gyres, parahippocampal gyres, parahippocampal gyres.
Wow. I think now, you know what? Okay, so this I had to throw a little comedy skit in there. Guys, so generational, huh?
Oh, yes, it is.
Very interesting. Do you think now before we continue on, I love the way that at the speed that you guys are dropping all these bombs. Do you think that they are they go directly with the generation of the person that they first engaged with because they want to see what the experiment continues to grow into? Maybe probing.
That could be part of it. They are definitely stealing genetic material. And so, you know, if you find if you find a bloodline that has some of the parameters that you need, the chances are their offspring is also going to, you know, also throw that's what you need. It
Shut
seems to
the
be
front
like
door.
hyper focused on RH negative seems to be one of the criterion. As far as like if you're just looking at percentages, the percentage is way skewed in the favor of RH negative as far as abductees.
Right.
Okay, percentage wise.
They're mostly Caucasian.
It seems to be also they're
Right.
targeting Caucasians a bit, quite a bit more.
And green eyes.
Green eyes is also a factor.
Disproportionately.
Mhm.
But it's also the psychic aspect of it.
Right.
One of the things I think UFOs do, they've been seen like just cruising along, and somebody in their mind will say, they'll see it and they'll say, "Oh my God, a UFO," in their head. And then the UFO stops and starts coming towards them. I think
Right.
they're
Mhm.
actually kind of trawling for people that have psychic abilities. And so that might be how they first take somebody. But then if they do in fact find that they have what they're after, then they'll start preying on them regularly.
And telepathy is actually the easiest way of communication. That's the thing that a lot of people don't understand, that the brain functions on laying down pictures because of the synaptic connections. It always lays down a picture. So like you can think of the word tree in any language, right? The first thing you don't think about is how to spell tree in that language. You see a picture of a tree. All right. So
Word.
that's why these ETs, or as we call them, cousins, they
There's
like
don't
it.
have to learn. They don't have to learn 10,000 different languages because they're communicating on the most basic level. You know, this is like a lot harder. What we're doing here is a lot harder than telepathy. You know, so
And then they don't have to learn 900 languages. You know,
yeah,
they-
10,000.
however many there are.
Wow.
10,000 languages?
10,000 different languages. minimum.
Surprised me.
Yeah, there's a couple thousand alone in Africa. If you also include dialects and stuff like that.
Dialects. Word. Yeah, China alone has countless ones also.
Yeah,
It's
there's about
insane.
10,000 different languages.
Yeah, I
roughly.
agree. Telepathy. Lucid dreaming, is that part of it?
Lucid
that
dreaming
have-
is different.
Mhm.
Yeah, lucid dreaming is what you call basically like directed dreaming. It's kind of like where you're aware that you're in a dream and you can kind of like go kind of where you want to, which is different than astral projecting.
Yeah.
Astral projecting is when you basically say dream be gone. And I project pretty frequently.
Wow.
You usually find myself floating above my body in the bedroom, and then I just say, okay, I want, like, so last time I was projecting, I said I want to go to Antarctica. So I want to see what's going on beneath the ice sheet, you know, where the city of Gartha and the Ariani are. And so I got myself awake in the dream, and I just made the dream go away. And then I was floating over my bed, and I just zoomed out of the room, and then I was going through the clouds and whatever, and saw some great cities. And I met this guy who had 2-syllable first name and a 3-syllable last name, kind of like a really bizarre name. And I said, I want to go to Antarctica, but I keep on hitting these walls. He says, you just got to remember that the walls aren't real. You just go through them. And so I kept flying around and trying to get into Antarctica. And after, you know, being frustrated for, I don't know how long it was, I just went back into my body and got up.
To back up a little, whenever a human being is dreaming, their astral body separates from the physical body.
Yeah.
But they're just kind of 3 feet above their physical body, wrapped in like a dream cocoon. And it's possible to kind of wake up in the dream. You know, if you realize you're dreaming at some point, like because you know somebody you're talking to is dead, or you know something like that.
Right.
You can mentally waft the dream away, and now you're able to go astral projecting if you want to.
Right.
But the
Wow.
other option is lucid dreaming, where you get to control the dream. You get to have fun with it.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
an avid lucid dreamer.
Oh,
I lucid dream. This just as I had a nightmare Wednesday night, had a nightmare. I was having a conversation that really scared me to my roots. And I'm not a person to easily be scared, especially when it comes to the spiritual stuff. And I got scared. And I felt the fear and I fell asleep with that fear and I got the nightmare. And it was once I found out that it was a nightmare, I was like, oh, I know what to do. And I completely controlled it. It was still not a happy dream, but I was able to stop negative emotions, stop events from happening inside the dream. And it's funny because I woke up exhausted because all night I was fighting in that dream. So yeah, very, very important stuff. Now let's like you said, let's back up a little bit, and then I want to expand on this generational trauma, please.
course.
What else? What have you gone through briefly, and then maybe your family members, and then Leslie, we're gonna jump onto you as well.
Oh, well, okay. I'll just go to the meat of the thing as far as when I was 18 in January of
no,
1970.
no.
Oh,
He's talking about the trauma, like what happened with Philip, I think.
you want to hear with trauma?
Yeah, our poor brother.
I
ended
think I
up-
miss. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
his brother
You want
was
to hear about?
very traumatized
Yeah.
by the abduction phenomenon and ended up committing suicide and murdering his mother too. And
Yeah,
it was the biggest tragedy in our family. I can.
Well, I lost
tell
my
you.
dad, my brother, and my mother in about 3 months
Yeah.
in 2017, and
I'm
it was
so
it
sorry
was
to hear that.
yeah, it was
Yeah, it was
thank you.
terrible.
It was partly related to his just becoming paranoid. And this is the guy who taught college level calculus just for fun and for extra money.
He was a brilliant,
Okay.
but
He was a
emotionally,
goodness,
he
dude.
never became emotionally.
He's a draftsman and
Yeah.
engineer. He was big guy, 6'3.5", and was like a refrigerator. And he just I think he became very paranoid toward the end and
Mhm.
started installing ring cameras inside and outside the house. I mean, the ones for taking pictures.
Yeah,
And it just anyways that was for him
and he slept in his closet for 2 years when he was a child because he was afraid of the little men that come at night. He
Yeah,
said.
you said you saw an elf. Yeah, I saw about 6 or 7 years old, maybe 8. I saw these 5 little like dwarfs, just like 1 to 1.5 foot tall dwarfs that were dressed almost like Disney characters, and they were shimmery. And I was in the bunk bed on top, and they just came walking into the room, kind of looking around, like curious. And then we locked eyes. I saw them, they saw me, and they kind of
My
froze.
gosh.
They froze, and I looked at them for like another second or two, and then I turned around because I was scared. So when my brother started sleeping in the closet at the same time, same age level that I was when I saw mine, I said, Phil, why are you sleeping in the closet? He said, because I'm afraid of the little men that come at night.
Shut
And
the
it
front
affected
door.
him pretty deeply. He did that for 2 whole years, and also a lot of his early life. I asked him on several occasions about his early life, and he said he just doesn't remember.
He has almost no memory of his
Yeah,
childhood.
and this
at
guy
all.
this guy had a brain,
Yeah.
Say, well, why are you blocking that out? So it
I'd
all
like-
made sense.
I'd like to mention that whenever there's this shimmery quality to the memories, I believe that's a sign of alien memory tampering. Because, we don't really believe in gnomes, but the aliens will sometimes, they'll change the memories, especially when it comes to their, what they look
Their
like.
appearance.
The face of the abductor is frequently turned into something else, like owls or gnomes.
Interesting.
Or, his
So-
mother saw them as Chinese people dressed in Chinese regalia, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a little different.
but all these memories that show that kind of thing are kind of shimmery, like twinkly, and I think that's a sign of their tampering.
Mhm.
Whoa. Heavy duty stuff. So this is interesting because when I said trauma, it's because I was thinking of the word generational trauma, not generational appearances. So I miscommunicated. I apologize for that. But because of that mistake, I got a deeper version of you and an intimate story Thank you for sharing that on the show, both of you. And I assume it was hard, not only for you, but for the rest of the
Oh,
family
yeah,
members.
we've for growing up from the age of 3, I was having contact. Okay, since the age of 3 that I can remember. I can remember back to 1.5 years of age because of I grew up very, very sick, an individual, very ill for the first 2 years of my life. But anyway, so I remember way, way back. But for me, I've had tens of thousands of hours of lost sleep because of this. Uh, I've had so many times, so many of these things have hit me. It's like what Mike Tyson said, that everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face the first time. Well, I've been punched in the face over 1,000 times with this kind of stuff, and
Metaphorically.
and I do agree with you about feeling wiped out and fatigued in the morning after doing lucid dreaming, where you feel like you're in kind of a bit of a fight. I've had those, and even though I get it sometimes like 5 hours of sleep a night, whatever, which is kind of like long for me, but I will feel like physically drained, especially if I do a lot of astral projecting. It actually does take that psychic and that spiritual, and it takes physical energy to do this kind of stuff.
Wow.
So it's something that is real. Yeah, if you do a lot of this, it is going to make you very fatigued, and also you're going to lose a lot of sleep. You know, um, I've had so many times where I'm just drifting off to go to sleep, and I'm not asleep yet, but I'm just starting to drift off, and I'll get 3 knocks behind my head on the wall. Or the most recent one was shave and a haircut, 2 bits was da 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 da, and I have no idea. Somebody just messing with me, right?
Yeah.
They have a sense of humor, apparently.
And then there's been this black entity that has shown up 4 times in the past year, and sometimes it pretends to be Leslie. And one time it got into bed with me, and it said to me in my ear, said, "Husband,"
Yeah, I'm getting
right into my
jealous.
ear. And this last time, it was at the foot of the bed, and I thought Leslie had come into the room. I was awake, and it was and I heard this rustling, like she was like moving some papers, and then she said something to me. I said, "Oh, it's Leslie," but then I thought, well, what's she doing in here? And then it went into bed with me again on my right side. Then it went over to the left side, and it started trying to have a conversation with me again. I said, just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. And number one, it's like pretending to be my wife, and it's feminine, and it's dark. So it's
Oh yeah.
yeah. So
Oh
one
yeah.
of these times, well, one time I was just hovering above my body, and it was by the left side of my bed, about 3 feet tall. This thing was, and we were having this full on conversation. I wish I could remember what we're talking about, but at a certain point, I thought, oh, it's trying to manipulate me. So I started swatting it with my left hand. So for me, I've got this stuff in spades when it comes to like these connections. I mean, I just dreamt last night where my dad was cutting this big roast up with this really sharp knife, and I said, "Dad, what kind of cut of meat is that?" And then it went on from there, and he was pretty pissed off at me about something because he fell down, and I didn't go over there to pick him up fast enough. And it's just, and I had one about acupuncture needles that this guy was sticking in his hand. He put about 50 of them in there, and I said, why the heck are you putting so many needles in your hand? That doesn't make any sense. I should have actually said to myself, okay, it's a dream.
I must be dreaming.
I must be dreaming. So anyway, that's my life.
You know what? You don't. It's not an easy life, and for people that are not, I don't want to say spiritually attuned. Let's base it down. Let's make it a little bit more basic. For the person that's not open-minded,
Yeah.
these stories come off as you're a lunatic. I'm a lunatic too. At this point, call me what it is, right?
Some of our family thinks so. My side. True.
You know what? I would love to get more into your book now. To give me a deeper dose into it in the next for the last portion of the show. Tell me more about the book after chapter 1.
Well, as we began doing our research, we realized that the basic theories of what UFOs are, and the UFO facts that we were able to glean weren't in alignment. They weren't making sense together. And as you know, whenever there's a theory that doesn't make sense, you have to throw it out.
You got to modify it. Yes, right.
So we came up with the theory that UFOs are not coming here from distant star systems.
Right.
They are being launched from inside the planet.
Ha.
and they are launched by aliens that are a breakaway branch of humanity.
That's why we call them cousins, because they're actually a breakaway branch of humanity from 12,850 years
Right,
ago.
they separated from us, we believe, because of the Great Flood. We think, like the movie Deep Impact, right? President
Mhm.
Freeman, Morgan Freeman, there's an asteroid coming that's going to kill us
Mhm.
all, right? Plan A is the Hollywood heroes go blow up the asteroid, but Plan B is to sink these deep underground bunker city things.
Yeah, they're cities or arcs, yes.
All around, and they call them arcs in the movie. And they're doing one in China and Russia and America,
Australia, yeah.
And we think that this is exactly what happened, almost, except that it was a comet. The younger Dryads comet has now been correctly dated to 12,850 years ago. And a comet impact is, their comets are dirty snowballs, right? And the younger Dryas was a 62-mile wide dirty snowball
With rocks,
traveling at
40,000 miles an hour.
40,000 miles an hour. And when they hit our atmosphere, the snow melts away and it's just these huge boulders hurtling at us. And it struck all along the eastern seaboard of this country, in the Atlantic Ocean, and in Western Europe. The resulting tsunamis would have been about 1,000 foot high, and rushing to every coastline in the world at 500 miles an hour. It would have been incredibly devastating. And we think that all of us surface people, the people who weren't lucky enough to be underground, it almost wiped us out and shoved us back into the Stone Age. But prior to 13,000 years ago, we think humanity was fairly well advanced. It's just that all evidence of this advancement had been scraped off the surface of the world.
Until recently.
Except some of the megalithic architecture that makes no sense, right? Because it's the most ancient stuff is the biggest stuff, right?
And so the things that back our theory up is that, number one, the comet has been found and it's been dated. Number two, the boundary line that's found in 12,800 year old soil all around the world, and in 10 different countries, 4 different continents so far, shows that all the forests of the northern hemisphere were on fire at the same time.
It's called a conflagration.
Right,
because,
the Great Conflagration.
yeah,
correct.
Like the Ragnarok stories. First it's like fire and brimstone, and then 1,000 years of where you don't see the sun. But what happens is that these rocks, because they're traveling so fast, the air in front of them superheats, and it actually ignites the oxygen in the air, and everything underneath it is on fire.
So there's actual physical evidence, and also too with genetics, we've been able to find now that at that time period there was a huge genetic bottleneck that occurred. In other words, the human race was reduced to about 10,000 individuals at that time. So there are all these factors that fit together. That and also too, the other thing too about the 1,200 different flood myths, and they almost all start the same way. They almost all start the same way, that a disembodied voice or a god or god emissary said, you've got to either go to high ground, you've got to build an ark, or you got to dig underneath the ground, which is what they did in Derinkuyu in the Anatolian Flats in Turkey. They built this underground city complex 13 stories deep, and nobody knows how they did it. And it connects to other underground cities that are about 15 miles apart. So, see, they all start with forewarning, which means somebody had to know a year and a half to 2 years, probably at least, to give forewarning to be able to build these things. And they almost end the same way too. About 1,000 years later, or whatever it was, that an emissary came from the skies, which they really didn't, but basically like the Viracochas or the Quetzalcoatls or whatever, to basically give back civilization to mankind.
We think that they were safe underground, and people ask us, well, why did they not just come back up to the surface after the impact? And the answer is the horrible climate. Especially when it hits the ground, a celestial impact hits the ground and the ice sheet at the same time, It sends up billions of tons of dust and water vapor up into the sky. And
Yep.
the boundary after the Usella horizon, this charcoal whale of the Ragnarok, there's 1,100 years of it's called the Younger Dryads boundary on top of that, where
Mhm.
you wouldn't have been able to grow crops in the northern hemisphere. And so we think they went underground to survive the comet, but they stayed underground because of the horrible climate up above.
And then you get used to anything after, humans, we are anything but, inventive, curious, and also adaptable. You get
Yeah.
a couple
Extremely. We
generations.
terraform everything. Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you spend a couple generations, your kids are all they're going to know is that, the city of Agartha or whatever, so well, then the surface becomes both, curious but also scary.
Right.
So,
We think they bred after a few generations, you'd have an entire population of agoraphobes that are afraid of this of the
Yeah.
sky.
yeah,
Or where they come from.
Right.
Mhm.
right. So yeah, so the facts started to point, and also too, why they're so easy for them to breed with us, and why they are so interested in our genetics, and you start putting these pieces together, and
And why they're seen so often.
right.
If they're coming here from Arcturus and the Pleiades and the Sirius and Orion, then why do we see them 10,000 times a year, every year,
Mhm.
going
Mhm.
back maybe thousands of years?
Oh, they go back, yeah.
And that's why, is because they live here with us. They
Do
aren't
you
from other stars,
do you think for now, I'm gonna bring it back full circle. Do you think that these entities that come up and engage with your family are your ancestors from before?
Well, I've pondered that. I say, that we could have some, probably do have some genetic material in common.
Mm.
I mean,
Mhm.
but I can tell you also too that they're interested in people that have fairly pure blood. It seems to be
Mhm.
too. I mean, it's so funny. You see some of these vampire movies,
Mhm.
and the vampire phenomena, if you just look at it for what it is, they come at night, they're powerful, they paralyze you, they take your DNA, your blood,
Haha.
and they
Word?
continue to prey on you and families. It's just the same thing as what our caller cousins
Right.
do.
So we think the
Okay,
mythos of the vampire
right.
and the succubus and and incubi and the incubus and all of these and the demons, we
Mhm.
think all of these mythos arose from the abduction phenomenon.
And our blood is
Word.
becoming more and more tainted, because more and more people are using drugs, whether,
Mhm.
recreational or not, drinking alcohol, smoking, whatever. And and all the toxins in our food. So
Mhm.
literally, I think that that's one of the reasons why they target younger people that are healthier, have stronger jing and chi. And like, I,
Mhm.
I wasn't taking any medications at that time in my life, zero. Could run a
Mhm.
5-minute mile blindfolded if I wanted to,
Yeah, he was
you
in the
know.
military and
And so it's like
after boot camp.
my jing was very pure and very potent. Okay. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's like anything else. You want to take the best. And if I've been taking a lot of medications, I probably
Mhm.
wouldn't have had the same type of interaction, you know.
That's
So
one of our theories too,
yeah.
is that
You were in the military?
Yeah, I did 6 years in the Navy as a CB from 80 to
Thank you.
86.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Um, wow. I want to know more. I want to know more. You know what? You know what's the beautiful part? You're not just the people that come on the show or other podcast show and speak on, I saw aliens abducted me, my family, this and that. Here's my book. No, you're showing me a little bit of history, and then you bring the research, bro. You bring historical facts,
Hmm.
dates, names, and then you haven't even mentioned your book. You're telling me all of it, all the information. You're info dumping right now, and that is what this is why I love doing this stuff, because yeah, you'll get those people that are just trying to push their content. They're just trying to make a buck as well. You do have those, and I cherish those people also. But I cherish even more this type of content, because people are not they're gonna get a full presentation of who you are, what you're giving out, and also they're gonna relate.
Right.
This information, this is what I like to say. You need to take 5 seconds every day and stop scrolling on TikTok, watching ass, and go to the search bar and find out the information for yourself. Hashtag look it up. That's the phrase here on the show. Now, coming on a close, I like to do about 35 to 45-minute episodes, keeping it short because I respect your time. Guys, what's next? What's next
Oh.
for the journey?
Yeah, just 2 weeks ago, I got this wild hair up my ass, and I decided to write a screenplay based on our theories too. So
Mm.
I just finished that like 2 days ago. The end, and now I'm just kind of tweaking it here and there.
And also, too, we've just recently had, we did Contact in the Desert again this year as vendors, and we met the guy who's part of the Alien Carvings group, the ones that go down to Mexico and Central America and even down to Peru, and they're finding these ancient artifacts that date from between 2,000 and even up to 35,000 years old, depending how deep you go into soil. Magnificent pieces, and some of these glow under dark light. They glow. They glow vibrant green. They found chess sets that are 180 pounds that are like with different pieces, whatever, and all these things. We bought one of them. It was kind of a little expensive, $500, but it's worth it because these things are encrusted with precious gems, and they have the faces of the Greys and the Anunnaki, and
They're and Egyptian carvings too, and Sumerian, ancient Proto-Sumerian hieroglyphics.
and they're fantastic. They are mind-blowing. It's aliencarvings.com.
Yeah,
and the other one is
we just had two of the different guys from Mexico have been on our show recently, and we're very proud of those episodes.
Yeah, they both live. One lives in Washington, and one lives here in California. But they actually are like the modern day Indiana Jones, because they go down there to meet the population. They literally have to find out what the real information is. So they learn the language, and they go up into the hills. They do the digging. They do all the stuff. They bring it back. And then the Mexican government they were just saying, oh, these are just tourist things.
They think it's a hoax.
They think it's a hoax.
But a lot of these precious stones are inlaid with a glue made from plant matter, and they've been able to carbon date them between 9 and 25,000 years old. Thousands of years before anyone is supposed to be building pyramid complexes in that area.
Those Olmecs, I'm telling you, man, I did a deep research. I call it deep research for my level of research on the Olmecs. Oh my goodness, bro.
Yeah, that's wild. The Olmec stuff is wild.
They would leave their memory in frequency in stone. So when you would touch the stone and you rub it in a certain way, it'll tell a song. Oh my God, through frequency, bro. It's just, who does that? Like, who thinks of this stuff? And they left their memories literally on stone. It's very. You have a show? I didn't even know this. You had a podcast show.
Yeah, we're on the Gnostic TV network.
Yeah. We've done about 70 or 80 shows so far. So yeah.
At gnostictv.com, and it's called Abductions 101.
Well, it's called Abductions 101, UFOs and the Paranormal Connection.
Yeah, that's the subhead.
It's on your shirt. And make sure you check them out. Guys, one more time, where can they find you?
And they are here. Mine is
leslie.shaw.author for our Instagram and Facebook. And from there, you can find pretty much anything else about us. We do have a website, whotheyarebook.com. And we have the documentary that was made about us. It's called Who They Are. It's now on Roku, Plex, Apple TV, Fossum, and Fossum Documentary.
Right. It's made by Sky Island Storytelling. They've won quite a few awards for their documentaries.
It's on YouTube.
I gotta check it out.
It was on YouTube first and had about 400,000 views on it, and then it got
picked up by Roku.
Picked up by the TV. Yeah.
I'm gonna go check it out. I have to go check it out, guys. Again, you were gonna say something, Steve?
Oh no, I can't remember at this point. It's just
they are here. You said something about your shirt. And
they are here. Yeah, this is one of our designs here. Alien at the bar saying, I'll have the
crickets and gravy with a side of flies.
I freaking love it. And human blood to digest it, to drink.
Yes. So the very fact that they are coming from other solar systems or other planets, even the substrate and the bacterium in those planets, which determine what our digestive systems are going to be, they would be under attack immediately. Their immune systems would be under attack from our bacterium on this planet. And also genetically, to build a breed, you have to be 99.97% the same to throw viable offspring. You can't just like mate, like even a tiger and a lion, they throw sterile offspring. So anybody that would be
That's
coming
fact.
and bothering my family for 140 years, for 4 generations, isn't coming from Arcturus just for the fun of it, just to see, oh, let's give this guy some sleepless nights and steal some of his sperm.
And,
You know,
and what, use would a truly alien civilization need with so much human DNA?
right.
But if you're a breakaway branch of humanity, maybe becoming sterile, living underground for so long, you would need regular infusions of human DNA
That's
from
right.
surface dwellers.
He who controls the
Or-
genetics of a planet controls the planet.
Or they're using it. I like the fact that I like to point out that you said to reproduce, or maybe to learn how to adapt back for the surface.
Yes.
Right.
Possible reintegration might be one of their goals.
Mhm.
I love it. Make sure you check them out, ladies and gentlemen. Leslie and Stephen Shaw. They came, they murdered it. Dude, you guys killed it. It was a beautiful conversation. I loved it. Make sure you check out their book, check out their channels, and you can find them on the description of the show. I want to thank you again for your time, for your amazing wisdom, for all your research, and continue doing what you're doing. You guys are really kicking ass out there. You got a new fan in me. I'm gonna go check out your stuff on Roku later on today. I'll probably watch it with my oldest. I want to thank you again from the bottom of my heart. This means the world. Podcasting for me saved me. I'm sober now. I'm at my best version of myself because of the show, because of Jesus as well, but because of the show. And I maintain busy. Idle hands are someone else's business. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you check them out and drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts on Spotify. That allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. Peace.
Peace.
That was good, bro. That was good.